Zach from Carmel Total Fitness, and today I wanted to talk about high intensity interval training and how you can utilize it to burn more fat and maintain muscle. A lot of times people usually have a lot of misconceptions on what high intensity interval training is. You'll see people doing about 2 minutes as hard as they can. They'll take 45 seconds to a minute maximum on rest, when in reality I wouldn't consider that high intensity interval training. That's more like moderate intensity interval training. And really what you want to be doing is pushing yourself to the max. All right. For intensity, for me, typically I would say it is more about, how much effort are you putting compared to your 1 rep maximum? Okay, what's the percentage? Are you at 80% of your 1 rep max? Are you at 90% of your 1 rep max? And what I mean by that is you got to look at time under tension, okay? So you can't sprint at 100% speed for more than X amount of seconds, right? So if you're sprinting at 2 minutes, can you imagine? By the end of it, you're only going probably 60% speed. And that's not high intensity training, sadly, okay? And so if you really want high intensity training, you need to be training for about probably anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds at maximum capacity, okay? And then you do have to rest. If you do not rest, you are not going to recover so that you can go hard and at a high intensity again, okay? And that high intensity is what promotes tons of fat burning post-workout. It'll also promote muscle gain, or at least maintaining your muscle tissue, because you're pushing yourself in an anaerobic fashion, okay? So that's where people go wrong with high intensity interval training. A lot of times they don't do the interval. They don't take the break. They just keep going and going and going. And if you keep going and going and going, you're not high intensity anymore, okay? So how can you expect to get those results? Now you're starting to get into moderate intensity or low intensity. If someone goes and runs 10 miles straight at a hard pace, I'm sorry, it's not high intensity still. It's still low intensity cardio. So you really need to work on figuring out what kind of exercises can you do where you can go maximum intensity for a short duration. I usually do about 30 to 45 seconds as hard as I can and follow it by a minute to a minute and a half rest period. Basically because the shorter distance you go and the harder you go, the more ATP you use as fuel. And ATP takes quite a bit of time to recover. And that's why sometimes you see people lifting heavy weight at high intensity. Again, it's very heavy weight, and they stand around for 2 or 3 minutes. That's because they're trying to recover their ATP energy, okay? So make sure, again, when you're doing high intensity, go hard. Make sure you get your rest periods, because if you don't, you're not in that high intensity anymore. Low intensity, they're starting to show more and more studies that it may not be the best for fat burn. So just give it a shot. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to post some, answers in the feedback.